So why is Intel's price, the price of their stock, up over 16% in the last week? I have a program or a website that I use that every day I track whose stocks are getting a bump above everybody else. And Intel came to the leaderboard this week at a over 16% increase in price. And I'm asking myself, why? Intel has been an underperforming stock for years. Why is it all of a sudden going up? Well, I suspect that it had something to do with artificial intelligence and machine learning and the recognition that the whole infrastructure of the internet is having to be re-engineered and rebuilt because we're going to increase the capacity of usage as a result of artificial intelligence, and the system we've got can't handle it. It can't handle the semiconductors aren't strong enough, fast enough, and efficient enough, and they create too much heat, so we've got to upgrade them. And that's why NVIDIA jumped 33% in 1 week, because the CEO of NVIDIA announced we got the only GPU chip that will handle the capacity that the semiconductors are going to need in the future. And so at the same time, he's known this for quite some time. And what I've realized is there's a number of other companies who have known this at some time. So I created what I call my Bus 13, a portfolio that I'm going to manage based purely on this rebuilding of the infrastructure and this rebuilding of the digital revolution 2.0, driven by artificial intelligence and in the future machine learning. I've already increased my Bus 13 to Bus 18. I have 18 stocks in the portfolio now who are giving me an average rate of return over the last 5 years of 55.7%. The last 1 year, 110%. The last year or year to date, 77%. And the last month, 34%. So I've identified 18 stocks that fit my criteria that I want an average rate of return over the next 5 to 10 years of above 33%. And these 18 stocks have filled the bill and show me in a historical basis and a projection basis that they can fill the bill. Well, as a result of Intel hitting that 16%, last week, that is Intel's application for inclusion in the Bus 13. That's how I interpret it. So what I want to do is show you the analysis of past history and projections and give you an idea if I believe that Intel is worthy of membership in the Bus 13. So this is not financial advice. Don't get me wrong. I'm not advising you to do anything. I'm just sharing my knowledge and my past experience as a financial advisor so that you can make better investment decisions. But first of all, let's get this disclaimer out of the way.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
I'm going to show you the way I analyze stocks to determine whether they have merits to enter the Bus 13 portfolio. And so let's go to my computer and take a look at that. Okay, this is the analysis that I do on a stock to determine whether it should be a part of the Bus 13 or not. The blue analysis is that of Intel. I've left up on the screen the analysis I shared with you yesterday on SMCI, so we get some relevance to, and SMCI is a member of the Bus 13, and as I said, Intel is trying to gain entrance. So I left the SMCI up so you could have a reference point. And what I've done is I'm tracking historically. This is their income, the amount of income that they brought to the bottom line since 2013 through 2023. This line is the revenue, the amount of revenue that they generated from 2013 through 23. This is their compound annual rate of return. In other words, this is how much, if you owned Intel stock, the stock went up in that particular year. And again, you can compare it to these up here. The numbers that I want you to look at right away this is their average. This is their average growth of their income over that 10-year period. And as you can see, the average annual growth of income is a negative 6.9, whereas SMCI was 53% positive. Their revenues have grown at an average rate of 1.5%, whereas on up here it's 19.8%. I think you can see the differences. Then this is the growth of their stock price, average 11.6 as opposed to 46. Now again, to get into the bus 13, my qualifications are I have to believe you're going to give me at least an annualized rate of return over the next 5 years of 35% or more. Okay? Historically, Intel is not filling the bill. But yet, as I told you, the stock price was up 16% last week. Why? That's what I wanted to set out to determine. And here is what I found. Their projections, and these are projections I'm assuming the analysts are taking from their annual report and from their quarterly earnings call. Intel is projecting that their income is going to grow from 2023 from a negative $2,864,000,000 to a positive $9.1 billion. 2025, 12.4, 26, 16.0, and 27, 21.1. That's substantial growth. These are profits. This is income. This is their growth in revenues, their projected growth in their revenues. And you don't see comparable numbers. So where is all this increased income coming from when we aren't getting a proportional growth in revenue? And how efficient are they in turning revenue into profit? Well, let's look here. Their gross profit margins are 38.4%. Their net income margins in 2023 are a negative 5%. So what that means is they make a product. The product is ready for sale. They mark it up 38.34%. And for every one they sell, they lose money. Their profit margins, and that is when their average had been 24.9. So this indicates to me they've gotten really bad at marketing their product, but they believe for some reason they're going to get really good at it. Okay? They're going to get back to this average of 24.9%. So what I've got to do now is do further research, further reading, to find out how they're justifying an anticipated increase in income of 319% next year. Okay, now what I've got to do is take the time, and I'll do that on Sunday, to dig into why do the analysts believe they're going to get this tremendous growth out of Intel when history tells us that they haven't? Now, I know from my listening that they have indicated that they're going to build 1 or 2 semiconductor plants in the United States. And at one point, I was under the understanding that the government was going to subsidize that growth substantially and that they were going to help them get to where they want to go. so as to reduce our dependence on Taiwan for our best semiconductors in the future. I also am aware that they are negotiating to go into collaboration, if not purchase of, some other companies that are stronger in this new structure of the internet. We must recognize, and let me give you an analogy. Let's assume that it was determined that electric vehicles will not run on our current roads, streets, highways, interstates, and bridges. And all that infrastructure has to be rebuilt to accommodate these new electric vehicles. Well, that's what's happening to the World Wide Web, the internet. They're saying we are going to overload the internet that we have today. And so we have to re-engineer it, and we have to rebuild it, the whole infrastructure, so that it can handle the capacity that we're going to push on it in the coming years. And these 18 companies that I've identified already are part of that rebuild. They are the people who are going to cut down the electricity use. Right now, this internet system eats up roughly 1% of all electricity generated in the world. I know that doesn't sound big, but it is a huge number. Also, as you increase the electricity use, you're going to increase the heat generation, which is going to create more cooling needs. Well, there are some companies that are saying we don't need to use floppy disks anymore. We don't need to use spinning disk. We have a better way to do it. And I've identified that company. We have people who are saying, okay, you're going to need new check systems within these computer systems to make sure they don't overload and to transfer. Well, I have that company in my bus 13 or 18 stocks. So that's what I'm trying to do. Tomorrow I will do a video and I will share with you what I find out in the interim of how is Intel justifying these extraordinary growth figures that they're projecting and that apparently the stock market reacted to last week. So that'll be tomorrow's video, okay? I've got to go to Atlanta this afternoon for a high school graduation party for my niece's daughter. So I'll do that this evening and tomorrow morning, and I'll give you my results on Monday morning, and we'll decide, or I'll decide, am I going to put Intel into my Bus 13 portfolio? And then you can decide, are you going to put Intel into your portfolio? I'll talk to you again tomorrow morning.